Well, hello and welcome back once again, race fans. Here tonight, Turn 3 Racing Network hits the track here at Homestead Miami Speedway for the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menards K&N Series. This is race number 7 here in season number 2. Gonna be some great action here tonight on this mile-and-a-half track. Will we see another first-time winner, or will we see our first back-to-back winner? Can Chris Mefford continue his winning ways and head back to victory lane one more time? We'll just have to wait and see how it all shakes out here tonight in the Come On Man 100. That is a little bit of a fun poke out of tonight's race sponsor, Brandon Mefford. There you seen in the splash art coming up to tonight's race. Brandon didn't give me the race name and time 100 or something to those effects. Just a little poke of fun from one of the league admin and owners at Brandon. We'll see if we can't grab a hold of Brandon here shortly, as driver's got about 4.5 minutes or so remaining in happy hour right now. So I tell you what, while we've got a chance, while we've got some time, let's go ahead and do some official business here. There you see your official point standings coming into tonight's race. Chris Mefford, after last week's race win in his continuance in dominance, he has been consistently inside the top 5 for almost every single race. I believe only one race so far this season falling outside of that top 5. So Chris Mefford making well early here in the season. KD Osmond right there just behind him. Only about 17 points separate first and second. Lance Yancey, after a tough race last week, he falls a spot all the way back to the 3rd spot. Roy Hyde in the 00 making some ground here, looking to try to continue in some good string of finishes that Roy's had of late. There you see Brian Littleton also just knocking on the door of the top 5. Derek Robinson looking on the outside of the top 10. Doug Wasaki will fill that last top 10 spot. He's tied with Brian Snare and Derek Robinson for that top 10. So look for tonight's race to have some pretty good point implications. There you see Troy Radford, Brian Mescal Jr. both inside the top 15, but this season not really going the way those two seasoned veterans would like it. We'll continue to scroll through your points. There you see Damon Cox rounding out your top 20. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr., there you see him in a 93 back there, 25th position. Kendall Levron in 27th. Travis Pryor, shock and surprise, well down in the points this season. Not the string of finishes so far early this year for that fast 02 Travis Pryor. Very, very talented driver, just not being able to put the finishes together. The cars ran well, and just sometimes it just comes to bite you. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just kind of the way it is, I guess, here this season, very early in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menards K&N Series here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. And, well, I've gotten ahead of myself. Want to thank each and every one of you viewers for joining us here tonight, whether you're the fans, friends, family out there watching. We do appreciate each and every time you stop by here on the Turn 3 Racing Network, whether it's myself, Darkside Dave in the cave here in the Turn 3 Racing Network booth, or anybody else back at the home offices. We do appreciate each and every time you stop by and join us. I know these drivers appreciate all the comments, all the likes, and everything like that. So yeah, let's keep them coming. Let's keep it pumped up. If you hadn't noticed there in the promo, we've got a big special event coming up towards the end of September. 4-day race weekend. Look out for some commercials throughout tonight's broadcast promoting that. If you're interested, I suggest you get signed up and registered rather quick. It's going to fill up, and it is going to be an absolute great weekend down there at Myrtle Beach. Going to be down there for some legends, some late models, SKs, as well as super late. So going to be one heck of a show, 4-day show here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. So keep your eyes peeled for some more information coming with all that. Want to give a big shout out to how you doing out there, Miss Linda? We can count on you each and every week. Good to see you out there. Snare, also, how you doing, brother? Good to see you out there on the YouTube side of things as well. Well, you know, I've pretty much talked my way right through all of this happy hour here. Haven't really talked about much of the scoring pylon out there. Katie Osmond is on top of the scoring charts right now with a 32-68. Troy Radford just behind him. Brian Snare going to be top 3. Travis Pryor, there you see it, speed in that 0-2 once again. 32-78 has him in the 4th spot on the speed charts, and the 6th of Eric Blount will round out your top 5 here as happy hour comes to the close. Just about 5 seconds remaining, so we will get set and ready to go into the qualifying session here today to find out who will take the top spot in this Come On Man 100. It looks like some drivers already out. Looks like Doug Wasaki already out on track. So we'll take a look at that 34 machine as he rolls off of pit road. Dustin Ping also out on track already. Brandon Medford, Chris Medford, Jimmy Hetrick, Troy Radford, Michael Massengill, Derek Robinson, Brian Snare, Katie Osmond, Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. The track is full, ladies and gentlemen. Tons of cars all over the place. So forgive me, we'll jump around, catch a few glimpses at a few different cars as they make their way around this track. There you see now the 88 of Katie Osmond as he makes his way around the track. Gonna see what kind of lap times he can put down, what he can put in the bag. We'll throw down your qualifying kind of whatnots. I guess those are all the drivers that are either in the car, on pit road, out on track, scrolling through the bottom of the screen. We'll throw up their qualifying positions as they cross the line. Here comes Katie Osmond, first time lap, gonna go on the board. Where does he go? Osmond goes to the top of the charts with a 33-13. Doug Wasaki right there with a 33-26. Now Ping to the top of the board with a 33-12. What can Medford do with it? Can Medford increase that gap just a little bit? Jimmy Hetrick now to the top. Troy Radford, quick time, 33-05. Will we see somebody drop into the 32-second bracket? A lot of good drivers out there. We'll jump on board now with Tyler Hilton as he makes his way around the track here in qualifying. The 82 down there hugging that white line, now just about a half a lane off, working his way off of turn number 2 on his up to speed lap. And do want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight. Once again, this is Darkside Dave and my good buddy Cody finally walking through the door. Had some other official business to get done. Cody, we do appreciate you joining us here. Man, how was it? How was the flight?
Man, Dave, traffic here in Homestead, Miami, just nuts on a Sunday evening. So glad to finally get in the booth. To hear the roar of race cars was a good thing to come to. And I'm telling you what, as I walk in the booth, I look to the board and I see 2 familiar names at the top of the speed charts right now, in Troy Radford and Katie Osmond.
Yeah, and to no surprise there, Cody, Osmond fastest in happy hour as well. Radford was right there inside the top 5 in happy hour, so they're continuing those trends. We'll just have to see if we continue our trend of new race winners, and it looks like Travis Pryor with a little bit of a moment, so he's going to shut her down, not continue that lap. We'll see if we can jump out there now with the 7 of Brian Kaufman as he's, I believe, on his second time lap, first time lap in the book for him, a 33-63. A little bit off pace right there, and nobody, actually everybody, a lot of drivers breaking into that sub 33-second bracket.
Yeah, Dave, it looks like right now the top 7 are all into that 32-second range, and you've got the top 4 into the 32-7s before you come back to Dustin Ping, who's at a 32-8. Once again, we're seeing that trend. We've had 20 drivers touch the racetrack. Dave, that's becoming about a norm. Each and every week we see anywhere from 20 to 22 drivers hit the racetrack in qualifying, and that is almost right where we're at now as Roy Hyde hits the racetrack.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's drivers just content to come from the back or just trying to play it safe. Not sure which way it is, but we'll continue to watch the 7 of Brian Kaufman. He's going to bring his machine back on pit road, so we'll watch the 02 of Travis Pryor's. He's got it wound up and ready to go, coming to the line to begin his first time lap this time by. So I tell you what, let's go on board here with a ride around Miami Homestead with Travis Pryor.
Dave, it's unreal how close they get to these walls, especially when they're coming off turn 2 and turn 4. A lot of them, no room to spare when they come off these turns here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yeah, and you can hear the drivers working the throttle through the center of the corner and not really working the wheel too much, but being very, very close to that outside wall. And Pryor goes all the way to 6th on the speed charts. Not going to have enough for the top spot, but he's going to put himself in a good starting position here, just outside the top 5. So tell you what, let's go back look at this 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. as he makes his way around turn number 2. He's on his up to speed lap. We're about halfway through tonight's qualifying session, Cody, and I tell you, it looks like a lot of familiar names up here at the top of the speed charts here in qualifying. Troy Radford, Katie Osmond, Brian Snare, Brian Littleton making an appearance up here inside the top 5 for qualifying. So hats off to him and his crew for, I guess, turning the wrenches the right way. I don't know.
Yeah, Dave, and I tell you what, I want to highlight that 45 of Brian Snare. He had a really good race going last week, got caught up in some late race fiascos, so to speak. But here he is, Homestead Miami Speedway, and right now he's got that number 45 qualified in the 3rd spot with the clock ticking away as far as qualifying goes here at Homestead Miami Speedway. So another good showing for that number 45 of Brian Snare.
Yeah, as we watch the 93, I about said 3 different numbers right there. The 93 of Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. He goes back out on track in his qualifying attempt. Never crossed the line for the green flag, so he was able to stop the car, reset, do what he needed to do, go out this time, and see what he can get out of that 93 machine. We've had about 22 drivers make a qualifying attempt. We've still got a good. What do you say down there, Cody, on pit road? I believe at least 7 or 8 drivers yet to put in a timed lap. So quite a big field here at Homestead Miami.
Yeah, Dave, 10 drivers yet to hit the racetrack. You've got Brian Maskell Jr. there, Joshua Cogdell, Damon Cox, Melvin Young, Justin Walters, Ray Radford, and Corey Walters are the drivers that I'm seeing on my chart that I've got that have not hit the racetrack yet. So we'll see if they wait or just patiently, once again, start in the tail of the field. And, you know, this has been some of these drivers throughout this season. I'm seeing a lot of names repetitively not take a qualifying lap. And Brian Maskell Jr. is one of those drivers the last few weeks that has it's came up to bite him, Dave.
Yeah, no, one of those familiar names that you could expect to see a little higher in the point standings. And I think some of these issues over the past few weeks may be stemming from not qualifying, having to be back there, getting caught up in something very early, as Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. not liking his lap, going to bring it to a stop. So we'll step away from the track for just a brief moment. 2 minutes left here in qualifying, but I would have to agree with you, Cody. This not qualifying has went absolutely horrible for a few of the drivers out there so far, but they're still sticking with it. So to each his own, more power to them. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like qualifying going to be through with the rest of the drivers climbing out of the cars. So we're going to step away for a brief commercial break, then head down trackside for the national anthem. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Turn 3 Racing Network.
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Backtrack side as the drivers hit the starting grid for tonight's Come On Man 100 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Gonna be one heck of a show around this mile-and-a-half racetrack. Cody, familiar man up there at the front of the field. He's gonna walk away tonight with his, I believe, 8th pole position. So your starting lineup looks a little bit something like this, lining up inside row pole position, the 49 of Troy Radford. Lining up just to his outside, the 88 of K.D. Osmond. Brian Snare going to line up inside row number 2. The 80 of Brian Littleton just to his outside. Row number 3, the 1 of Dustin Ping, and the 02 of Travis Pryor. Row number 4, the 84 of Chris Medford, and the 55 of Steve Baker. Row number 5, the 34 of Douglas Saki, and the 6 of Eric Blount.
Rolling off in row number 6, it'll be the number 11 of the number 7, Brian Kaufman, and to his outside, the 76 of Chuck Mobley. Rolling off in row 7 to the inside, it'll be the number 8 of Kendall Levron. To his outside, Falcon Motorsports, number 82, Tyler Hilton. In row number 8, it'll be Brandon Medford, the race sponsor tonight, in his 83 machine. Outside of him, in the number 48, it'll be Jimmy Hendrick in that 16th spot. Row number 9, it will be Thomas Light, the 98 machine. Travis Arthur will go on his outside of the 86. Gordon Larson Jr. will roll off 19th in his 01. Derek Robinson is going to round out the top 20 in his HRL Motorsports machine.
Notable drivers back through the field, starting 22nd, the 00 of Roy Hyde. Brian Mescal Jr. starting back there as well. Melvin Young going to start 31st. Pace car away. Green flag flies here at Homestead Miami Speedway for the first time tonight. K.D. Osmond gets a good jump on Radford on that outside lane. Half a car in between your front runners. Oh, and around goes Littleton into the 45, and we've got a caution early. Radford goes around late. Oh my goodness, a lot of cars involved in this one early. Let's back it up. There you see Littleton going sideways, the 45 getting caught into it. Radford, he's sideways off of turn 2 as well. The 8 of Levron hard into that inside wall. My goodness, that ended bad for quite a few drivers here very early. Not even making it out of turn 2.
Dave, how many times have we said it? Turn 1, and just looking at the in-car and listening to Brian Littleton, I just felt like he got a little bit too much tire spin going into 1, and I mean, there was nowhere to go. And I will say this, there was an opportunity there for 3/4 of the field to be involved in that accident. Heads up to all of our Arca Menards Light Electric Company Series drivers for simply just being aware, being alert, and you got to look at that accident, Dave. Maybe some of them was expecting a little chaos in turn 1, and they were walking on eggshells, and it may have paid off for a few of them.
And unfortunately, looking at the front of the field right now, looking at the 02 of Travis Pryor, he's going to have to pull down pit road, front into that machine. very torn up. It's beat in. Not enough to end the day, but it's going to be enough to put him on pit road for quite some extensive repairs. And a few other drivers also going to join him on pit road. Brian Littleton, Chuck Mobley, and Brandon Medford, Roy Hyde, Doug Wasaki. So some of these drivers not able to get woed up and unfortunately involved in that. Kendall Levron also in the 8. He was involved. He's on pit road. So that turn 1, first lap, man, it's been catching some of these drivers out. Maybe the tire model a little bit slicker here on the colder tires here. I'm not quite sure. I haven't been in one of these cars in quite some time, so I don't know.
Well, and you know, we've noticed these cars, they seem to be really light in the tail end. We've seen it last week. We've seen it at really every racetrack we've been, even Richmond earlier this season. It doesn't take much to get the rear end of these cars up and around, and especially on fresh tires, Dave. You're looking at about 3 or 4 laps before you really can go throttle down in some of these race cars. And unfortunately, I felt like maybe Littleton got up a little too high and got back to the throttle, and when he did, it was game over, and there was nowhere for Brian Snare to go and a couple of other drivers behind him. But once again, I was looking at the replay. Our crew's done an amazing job. Man, this field simply scattered. When they scattered, it opened up a door for a lot of them to be able to get through it unscathed.
Yeah, that it did, and it's tough to see some of these drivers that were right there in the front, qualified well, had some good speed, some good long run speed. Also in happy hour to have an issue before coming out of turn 2. Really a setback for a lot of these drivers. And really just another bad break for that 0-2 of Travis Pryor, man. He, well-known, talented driver, and just he has not been able to get out of his own way, so to speak. Just week after week, something involving him just happens. I'm not sure what it is with him, but I don't know. He may be looking for a shaman or something like that to break this bad juju.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't take long for that to start weighing on a driver. You know, you wouldn't quite think that, but it doesn't take long for something like that to start weighing on a driver's mind, how much they're having to, you know, how much they're going through in a race. And hopefully, you know, Travis will keep on the positive side, because we got some tracks coming up that I feel like he could really play a factor in this series. So hopefully he keeps that chin down and keeps coming back and going to work. But in the meantime, lights are out on the Ford Mustang pace car. Looks like we're going to get ready to line things back up, Dave.
And as you remind me that there's a Ford Mustang pace car out there on the track, I'm going to go ahead, because I know we have a lot of the drivers, a lot of the admins and race officials here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company Arca Menards K&N Series that go back and listen to the race. We refuse, the union is on strike unless we get a truck. We don't want that Mustang. I want the Silverado, and that's it. Foot is down. Foot is down. No more racing until we get the Silverado.
Maybe we can get that next week when we go racing again next week. Katie Osmond, Steve Baker, front row, Dustin Bing, Chris Memphord. Your points leader is going to roll off in the 4th spot. Eric Blunt, Brian Kaufman, believe it or not, even after that mess, he's going to roll back off 6, Dave, as we get ready to go back green.
Yeah, and we'll hold our breath this time, Cody, see if we can't get through turn number 2. So let's see if these drivers are a little easier on that throttle point through the center of 1 and 2. Maybe that's going to teach them a lesson. We'll just have to wait and see. Osmond off to a great start. Great jump over there over Dustin Ping. Steve Baker right there. Eric Blount, his 6 machine just behind them. They roll off single file. Your top 6 or 7 all snake right on down the backstretch into turn number 3 with Osmond having a 3-car lead now. That's going to cut to 2 as Ping close in just a little bit now. Stretching it back out once again is that 88.
Yeah, Dave, while that's going on out front, man, there was a hornet's nest back here in 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. It is Derek Robinson, Travis Arthur, Gordon Larson Jr., Brian Mescal Jr. Oh, and up into the outside wall. Derek Robertson caught inside of turn one. And, Dave, that brings in about 3 or 4 more cars into this hornet's nest. They're 3 wide down the backstretch.
3 wide with the 19 of Rick Reinert in the middle. Looks like they're going to have that sorted out by the time they get to 3-0. And contact between the 4 and the 19. Reinert spinning. He gets it collected. I don't know how they didn't. I don't know how they didn't wreck. Right there, the 4 of Michael Massengill also keeping his car going the right direction. They were absolutely sideways, Cody. Not sure how those drivers kept it going the right direction. Meanwhile, back at the front, looks like Dustin Ping starting to close in just a little bit as we work our way through turn 3. Now off of 4, 1.5 car length lead for the 88 at the line. Osmond gonna lead another lap.
Yeah, Dave, Dustin Ping is on the prowl. That number 1 machine is all over the back bumper of Katie Osmond as they come off of turn number 2. And those two really starting to pull away. Steve Baker in that 3rd spot. He's about 3 car lengths back, but Dustin Ping, Dave, I feel like he's just waiting to pull the trigger and maybe dive to the bottom and pull what I call an asphalt slide job. But for right now, he's content to be about a half a car length back.
And now looking to the inside off of 4, gonna come down the front stretch. Not gonna be quite there, but gonna be there on entry to 1. Now side by side, give the advantage to Ping. He's working that bottom lane, gonna pull a little bit of a slow slide job off of 2. New race leader Dustin Ping to the front of the field, halfway down the back stretch. He's got Osmond right on his trail, and here comes the 55 of Baker.
Yeah, Dave, making his 10th career start in this series, and how often do you see somebody drive up to Katie Osmond and just drive around him? What a strong race car of Dustin Ping he has right now. And don't look, but here comes Steve Baker. Baker's on the back bumper of that 88 Sundrop machine, and he's trying to go for that 2nd spot.
And not to take anything away from what Ping has just done, but could Osmond possibly be saving some tires? Could he possibly be feathering the throttle a little bit more in the corners, maybe trying to stretch it to his fuel window, to his liking? We don't know, and it's very early for all that, but these drivers always thinking way ahead of the game. Chess moves being made out there lap after lap. So I'm not sure if maybe Osmond's just trying a strategy, or if Ping's crew and car are just that strong. Because as you said, Cody, I mean, we haven't seen anybody come up there and just absolutely take the spot away from Osmond like that.
No, we have not. And I mean, he literally ran him down and went around him on the low line and took, really, Dave, I feel like he's forced Ping to come off of that high side. Through most of that first part of the race, you saw KD up against the outside retaining wall, and now Dustin Ping went around him on the bottom, and I feel like it's made that 88 Sundrop car come down off of the banking. And if you notice something, if you're watching the race here on the Turn 3 Racing Network, it's kind of one of those follow the leader deals. If somebody's at the high side, that's where everybody's running. If you see somebody jump out of line and go to the bottom, well, that's the new favorite spot to be in. Right now, the top 6 start to pull away nose to tail, with Dustin Ping showing the way, coming off of turn 4 this time, getting ready to put lap 14 up on the board.
And some drivers a little further back through the field mixing it up here. You see battle for the 8th position between Jimmy Hetrick and I believe that it's Thomas Light in the 98 just behind him. Right there working that lower lane. Brian Mescal Jr. in the 33 just behind them. He's the last driver inside the top 10. Side-by-side battle between Gordon Larson Jr. and Derek Robinson. That's for 11th and 12th. So battles all over the racetrack. Even further back, here we see a battle between Chuck Mobley and Damon Cox. Troy Radford, after that self-spin on lap number 1 coming out of turn 2. He's all the way back here in 16th spot, battling 2-3 wide at times with Damon Cox, Travis Arthur, Chuck Mobley, Roy Hyde, also right there in this mix.
Yeah, and then Miller, number 57, Damon Cox, he picked up 11th spot. We talked about him as being one of the drivers that did not take a qualifying lap. Right now, he's picked up 11 spots. And here's another driver we talked about not making a qualifying lap, Brian Mescal Jr. He's up 13 spots and just cracked the top 10. So maybe they've got something figured out starting at the tail of the field. But for right now, Dustin Ping, Katie Osmond, Steve Baker, and Eric Blunt are leading the charge here at Homestead.
Yeah, right now those top 3 drivers pretty much comfortable where they're running. About a tenth or so separates each of them in that top 3. They've got just about a 0.3 of a second race lead over Eric Blount right there in his 6 machine running in the 4th position. Blount's got Medford right on his tail. Tyler Hilton right there knocking on the door of the top 5. You see him right there, last driver in line. Then a big gap back to that 7 of Brian Kaufman. Kaufman making his second appearance here since his reemergence on the scene with the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menards K&N Series here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. And man, Cody, it's a good strong battle up here with these top 6. I mean, there's a little bit of gap between them, but if one of them messes up, they could get freight trained very easily.
Yeah, Katie Osmond and Steve Baker, you could not have put a fingernail between those 2 cars the last time around. They were side by side. Osmond got a little loose in the middle of 3 and 4 moments ago and shoved up. I thought we was going to have another pile up in the center of the turn, but they got things straightened out. But I'm telling you what, the longer these 2 race side by side, then you've got Eric Blunt, Tyler Hilton, and Chris Medford. They are all showing they've got the potential to hang right in there. So anybody right now in the top 6 has got an opportunity to pounce if somebody stubs their toe, like you said. And right now it is Dustin Ping, and he's running different lines. But Dave, off of turn 2, he opens the bottom, and Katie Osmond says, "Oh, come on in."
Osmond looking to take the race lead back. Only 2 different race leaders. That has been Ping and Osmond. Osmond now digging down there. Will he make the slide job up the track off of 4? Looks like he's going to have that pass very easily off of 4. Baker going to try to do the same down there on the inside. Not sure if he's going to have the spot by the time he gets to 1. Looks like he's going to be just off of the pace a little bit. Ping going to be able to hold strong on the outside.
Yeah, Dave, and tonight a nice cool 68 degrees in Homestead, Florida. So these engines are turning the power tonight, and you're starting to see some of these drivers get a little gutsy. You're starting to see a little bit of these tires wear out. They're feeling more comfortable with your cars, and I say that they're 2 by 2 behind our race leader, and Steve Baker and Dustin Ping are swapping positions, and here comes Eric Blunt.
Here comes Blount, here comes Hilton. Both of those drivers almost side by side. That is a battle for the 4th and 5th spot. They've got 2nd and 3rd battling side by side just in front of them. Chris Medford in 84. He's just sitting there like, come on, guys, figure something out here. Let's go here. You're holding me up.
Yeah, he comes into this with the points lead, and you know he's just, let's just keep adding and adding and adding with that old school championship on the line. The more points he gains each week, the better. And right now, he is just trying to be cautious. And now he's going to stick his nose to the outside of Eric Blunt. They are side by side once again as they race out of turn 2.
And I tell you what, off of turn 2, let's head down with an onboard shot with your points leader. Driver running in the 6th position right now, Chris Medford. Let's take a look and see what he sees there. You see him right there on that rear end of that 6 of Eric Blount. Nowhere to go, really. 3 different lines being utilized by all 3 of the drivers in front of him. So no real way to run where they ain't like that.
No, not at all. And I mean, there is multiple grooves here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and we are seeing all of them used. And you mentioned earlier you thought KD might have been saving a little something. Well, right now he has got his foot to the floor because he wants nothing to do with what's going on behind him right now.
Yeah, Osmond stepping out to almost a 1-second race lead now. So if he was saving anything, he has gotten back on the gas and stepped away from the field. As we go back out to one of our wider shots now, almost 3 wide again for the 3rd place. That is Tyler Hilton, Dustin Ping, and Eric Blount. All 3 of those drivers battling for that position. Just behind them You'll find Thomas Light, Brian Mescal Jr., Brian Kaufman, all right here inside your top 10. Jimmy Hetrick brings his 48 machine up 6 positions from where he started tonight's race. Finds himself the last driver inside the top 10. So big shout out, big moves from him. And we've got some battles going on back here as well, Cody. 14th, 15th, 16th, they're all over each other.
Yeah, Dave, they are battling. Gordon Larson Jr. is leading that charge with Travis Arthur, Brandon Mefford, and Travis Pryor, who's trying to rally back from that accident earlier. And they are side by side, door to door, as Travis Arthur and Brandon Mefford as they come down the back straightaway battling for 14.
Yeah, the battle, like I said, all over the racetrack. There's a little bit of battles going on behind them, just a few positions in front of them. There's a few battles as well. And this is a battle all in itself right here that we're watching. This 0-2 of Travis Pryor, very early involved in that turn 2, lap number 1 incident. Front end was beat up, banged up. He's been on pit road for some extended stays. Has got the car looking pretty sporty, and now up inside the top 15. Look for that 0-2 to continue his charge as we're just a little past the quarter way here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway for the Come On Man 100 here live on Turn 3 Racing Network.
Yeah, even with all the trouble, Travis Pryor right now just about a turn away from our leader. Going down the back straightaway, Katie Osmond enters 3. Travis Pryor comes off a turn 2. So roughly about a straightaway distance between what I would say the 14th place car and your first place car. But Katie Osmond showing the way. Steve Baker has kind of isolated himself in that second spot. And they're still, Dave, they are racing for, you think it's the last lap for 3rd through 5th.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool actually to watch that the battle is not just up there at the front. You can find small 2-3 car battles all throughout the field. Watching now the battle from I believe it's 3rd all the way through about 6th right here, just behind the 55 of Steve Baker. You've got Blount, Hilton, Medford, Ping. They're all battling with each other for position. Go 5 or 6 cars back, and you can find another cluster of cars battling for position as well.
Yeah, and I'm getting told in my ear now that it looks like Kendall Lefron, he will be the first car exiting tonight's race here at Homestead Miami Speedway. He was involved in that first lap incident. Looks like that number 8 Exxon machine's going to go to the garage, and his night's come to an end rather early.
Yeah, we seen him hard impact to the front end of that machine into the inside retaining wall. Unfortunately for Levron and his 8 crew, not going to be able to get the car back out on track. And he's going to be the first car to drop out of tonight's race. Going to be stuck with the 32nd position in the finishing order. But sometimes that's just how it all goes. Sometimes it's not your fault, and sometimes it is. And unfortunately for Levron tonight, it wasn't his fault, as Blount has taken the spot away from Hilton. Now looks to pass Baker all in one lap. Put Blount from 4th to 2nd.
Yeah, that number 6 machine, that Conway machine, is on a roll. Eric Blunt has been moving through the field, actually running quicker lap times right now than our current leader. That last time around, he was just a tad bit quicker than Katie Osmond. But Katie Osmond, Dave, has got that clean air, and it's really all that matters right now, especially at a big racetrack like this. And I tell you, another driver, he's up 16 spots, and he's our biggest mover right now. Brian Mescal Jr. has brought that 33 machine from way back past 25th starting spot up to 7th as he works on what was one of our other leaders during the start of the race, Dustin Ping.
Yeah, there you see the 33 of Brian Mescal Jr. going across the start-finish line. Right there, just in striking distance of the former race leader, Dustin Ping. He's fell all the way back to the 6th spot. And, yeah, it looks like Brian Mescal Jr., after starting back deep in the field from not qualifying, has had a very good start of tonight's Come On Man 100. Up 16 positions, as you said, as we work our way around the track, coming by this time to begin lap 33. So about a third of the way through here, Cody. Who do you like? Who do you see? What do you like out of what car out there?
Well, you got to most definitely look at Katie Osmond. That's going to be your highlight car right now. He is dominant out front. If you got a short run at the end of the racetrack, at the end of the race, so to speak, if there's a short run, you got to like what Dustin Ping was able to do in about 6 laps. If you got a race that is going to be a long green flag run, you got to like what Brian Maskell Jr. is doing. And right now, we're seeing green flag pit stops. Here comes points leader Chris Pepper. He's on the pit road, lap 34 this time by. And Dave, we may see something going here with pit stops.
Yeah, and it looks like this time by, Medford's going to be the only driver to hit pit road. So maybe he knows something these other guys don't, or maybe I'm just not smart enough to figure out what he's trying to do here.
Yeah, and I was looking down our pit strategy board we got here, and Troy Radford is running in that 8th spot, Dave. He has fresh tires. He came in after that first caution and made some adjustments. He's only got 30 laps on his tires, and as I say that, here comes Troy into the pit road. We've got a few other drivers, including Steve Baker.
Yeah, 4 or 5 drivers hit pit road this time by, so not going to let Medford get the jump on them very much. Looks like Baker, Hilton, Radford, Light, Wasaki, Snare, all on the pit road that time by, as Katie Osmond continues to lead today's race. Coming off of, I believe, turn number 4. He's going to slow the car up, bring it to pit road. Eric Blount hard on the brakes, sliding into pit road. Here comes Dustin Ping. He's going to hit pit road. Oh, and contact, and Travis Pryor goes around. Contact again. Oh, my goodness, and more contact. The 80 of Brian Littleton, nowhere to go. Rick Reinert snaking through. Oh, my goodness, parts and pieces falling off the front end of Brian Littleton's number 80 machine. Oh, and it looks like the 84 just didn't know the O2 was blowing up. And around he goes. We'll take another look at that one. There you see, it looks like contact right there. The 84 on the O2. Then more contact. I believe that's the 47 with contact. Then the 80 piles in. A hard contact on the front end of that 80 machine. Whew. One more look at it here. There you see. Yeah, I just think that's a product of green flag pit stops right there.
Yeah, Dave, and I went back and I was watching the replay you were showing and listening to the RPMs. I felt like it sounded like Travis Pryor was going to try to go to the pit road as well and go to the outside and maybe go too wide into the pits. And I don't know if he didn't commit quick enough or what, and Chris Medford thought he was going to pick back up the throttle. But it's just, wow. I mean, there is no other way to really look at that, as it looked like Travis Pryor may have been slowing down to go side by side into the pit road, because there was just no, there was no real give as far as the sound of the throttle in that O2 machine, and our points leader had nowhere to go, and he just ended up driving into the tail end.
Yeah, definitely a product of green flag pit stops. Not sure if Pryor was committed to pit road just yet, but either way, 84 not able to whoa up enough to stay out of the rear end, and around Pryor went, and chaos and carnage ensued. That's kind of what happens when you spin, and you end up back on the racetrack. Sometimes cars not able to whoa it down in time, and that's going to shake some things up here at the front of the field when that caution flew. Looks like Katie Osmond, maybe Eric Blount, they're going to get their positions back at the front of the field. But look who's going to start inside the top 5. That 33 of Brian Maskell Jr. gonna be up now 19 or more positions and start just inside the top 5. Maybe even restart this race at the front of the field. Looks like he's going to take his spot in front of Katie Osmond. So interesting here.
Yeah, Dave, and if we get another long green flag run, if he can stay pretty consistent where he's at, maybe we'll get to see what that 33 machine can do up front in the clean air, because we saw him just simply drive his way. There wasn't too many drivers in that last run just drive their way to the front, and he did. He pretty much took that 33 machine and went where he wanted to go with it. And I'm seeing is that Katie Osmond has went to pit road.
No, Osmond's still out there on track. We've got a lot of drivers up here that are more than likely going to be taking a wave around, I do believe. Troy Radford also being one of those drivers being scored one lap down at this point in time, waiting to get the wave around. So timing and scoring all kind of whacked out right now. So I tell you what, we're going to step away for just a brief commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Back trackside, ready to roll. Pace car lights are out. Brian Maskill Jr. has chose the inside lane for this restart. Coming to lap 42 out of 100 here in the Come On Man 100 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Pace car ducks off. Field in the hands of your race leader, Maskill Jr. on the gas, and green flag flies once again here at the track. Maskill Jr. gets a great start, great lead into turn number one, clear by about 3 or 4. So great start out there by your race leader.
Yeah, great start by the race leader, Brian Maskill Jr., Katie Osmond. We're getting to see what these two can do. As look at that battle now for third. Eric Blunt, Brian Coughlin, they are door to door.
Door to door going into 3 and 4. Blunt's going to take that spot away. And I tell you what, Cody, it's early in the night. Well, we're about halfway through the race, and you know what we haven't had a chance to do yet. They love it, I love it, you love it. So let's head down trackside for some sights and sounds with a little bit of turn 3s. Turn it up. Absolutely love it, and absolutely love the run at the front. The 33 of Brian Maskill Jr. trying to make it by the 10 of Melvin Young. Melvin going to be put down a lap here as Osmond goes to the inside, and into the wall goes the 10. The 10 staying up there, right there next to that outside roll wall. Tough break to see Melvin Young hit that retaining wall, but he keeps it out of the way of the drivers at the front of the field, and we've still got this battle going on, second, third, fourth, as Brian Maskill Jr. still leads the way.
Yeah, Dave, Melvin had went around off of turn 2 a few moments ago. Looks like the rear end of that car just went around with him, and that's what got him so far behind. But Brian Maskill Jr., man, like he is shot out of a cannon here at Homestead Miami Speedway. You know, last week, Dirty Air Racing was leading the team standings by about 33 points. Well, now this week, they're trailing Falcon Motorsports by 20 points. You know, we joked last week and said that Dirty Air really, you know, they'd had a couple good races here and a couple good races there, but they hadn't put together a real forceful race other than possibly the Roy Hyde win. But this week, Brian Maskill Jr. says, hey, I want my number 1 spot back in the team standings. And as we come to the halfway point, that 33 Mountain Dew machine is on a rail.
Yes, it is. And I mean, that's saying something about the way these team points standings are playing out so far this year. Falcon Motorsports been much more consistent, but when Dirty Air Racing or Muddy Water Racing make their way to the front, they usually walk away with a race win. So both of those teams very, very strong, and I think the I don't want to say the alliance, but I think the alliance between those two teams is starting to pay off a little bit, because we can see Brian Maskill Jr. leading the race right there inside the top 10. Rick Reinert, Damon Cox right there in 11th as well. Travis Pryor now back inside the top 15, running in the 14th spot. So only Roy Hyde and Brian Littleton sitting outside the top 15 right now from either of those two stable of drivers. And unfortunate for the 80 of Brian Littleton, looks like his day is pretty much over with. He's still out there turning laps, but he's heavily, heavily damaged.
Yeah, his car is heavily damaged. Also, Doug Wasaki, I believe he was involved in an accident. We did not get a caution, but he was on the front straightaway involved in a hard hit with Thomas Light during that turn 3 crank it up. But looks like he pulled his car to the garage. But right now it's shaping up out of turn 2. Brian Maskill Jr. has the lead over Katie Osmond. Battle of the soda cans, so to speak, Dave.
It's the Soda Wars in Miami. Sun Drop versus Mountain Dew. I tell you what, let's put a poll out to all the fans, friends, and family out there watching on the YouTube side of things. Who you got? Is it the Sun Drop machine, or is Mountain Dew going to take it home?
Personally, I'm a Mountain Dew fan, especially the older paint scheme Brian Maskill's got with the original sugar in that Mountain Dew. Sun Drop's pretty good in a sunny, nice day. So we'll see how it all shapes out. But I tell you what, there's a car, Dave, that's creeping in that 3rd spot. Eric Blunt is there to pounce, and either one of these two kind of get rattled. He has been just simply riding there, turning laps over the last few laps, Dave.
Yeah, and as they continue to get closer at the front of the field, I've had my eye, and we've been watching this 19 of Rick Reinert. He's been battling for about the past 3 or 4 laps now with the driver of the 57 Miller machine, Damon Cox. He's got that thing wound up using that high lane, getting the job done, keeping that 19 behind him. But they have been side by side now, getting single file. They've been side by side, Cody, for at least 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, they've been battling it out. You know, they're really good friends. I mean, I don't think they rough each other up at all, but you know what? The way they're racing, they may be really good friends, but they're really tough competitors. And right now, Rick Reiner, you know, if we don't give an award for the best save of the race, but in my book, he's got the best save of the race so far. He should have been crashed out about 20 laps ago. But he's clinging on to the back bumper of that Damon Cox machine as they start to work towards the 9th place car, rather, of Josh Cogdell.
And looking just behind those two drivers battling, we've got about a 4-car battle here starting with the 0-2 of Travis Pryor. He's got Steve Baker, Corey Walters, and Dustin Ping all right there with him. So Ping kind of fallen from grace there, was up there leading the race. We've seen him dominate very early, go up there and snatch the lead away from Osmond, but he has found himself back here in traffic and just not able to really go anywhere.
Yeah, Dave, him and Steve Baker, they are both hard back here in this I shouldn't say lap traffic, the latter part of the field, and they've simply just been battling amongst each other and having to sort through this traffic. But another driver that's mirrored way back in the field, he was involved in that last yellow, our points leader, Chris Mefford, he's all the way back in 28th. So that kind of opens the door up for some points tonight for some of these other drivers in the top 5 in the standings.
Yeah, and one driver that really could have used some help out in the point standings tonight, Lance Yancey, was up there in the top 2 in the point standings there for a week or 2 in a row. Unfortunately for Lance, he's not going to make it to the track here tonight, so he's going to suffer big time in the points. So yeah, tonight's definitely going to shake up the points after everything gets tallied up and everything gets totaled up with the bonus points for leading a lap and things of that nature. So yeah, and points are going to be a little bit crazy, because I mean, even Troy Radford, Cody, he's outside the top 15, looking in right now, running in the 17th position, battling with Tyler Hilton. We've seen Hilton up near the front of the field multiple races so far this season, but now both of these drivers just absolutely cannot go anywhere, stuck in the rear of the field.
Yeah, Dave, and that caution, was really good for Brian Maskill Jr. It was really good for Katie Osler and Eric Blunt. But as far as the rest of what I would say the top 10 before that caution flag, it was simply awful, because it took them drivers you just talked about and put them simply back at about 13th on back, which is just not the place to be right now, with 60 laps in the books out of this, what's really clicking off, Dave, to be a quick race, 100 lap. Come on, man, 100 here from Homestead Miami Speedway. But, this is race number 7 of this season, and we have still yet to see that 88 machine go to victory lane. And here we are again, and he's in the top 3, but he's chasing somebody else, and Brian Maskill Jr. right now just is pulling away.
Yeah, well, he's chasing that 33, but he better not look in the rear view mirror, because that's 6. He's not only caught up, but he is right there, putting pressure on the back of that 88 as we continue to work green flag racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Lap 61 out of the 100 scheduled in the official race distance. So these drivers getting on with the business at hand. And I think as of right now, I think we're going to have another first-time winner, because, I mean, your top 3, if any of those drivers get to victory lane, it's going to be a first-time win for them this season, as Blunt looks to the inside of Osmond. And unfortunately for you, Cody, and I'm going to have to side with the audience and our fans and the friends and the family out there on the YouTube chat side of things, Sundrop takes the win. They think Sundrop is better than Mountain Dew, and honestly, if you put the 2 in front of me, I'm grabbing the Sundrop every time.
Well, somebody's got to be a bad guy. So give me the bad guy this time. But I don't know. I feel like this year it's been a crazy start with that 88 machine. Didn't quite make the first few races. And then he's got on the track. And, Dave, 2 races, he has had the dominant car and yet to go to victory lane. And now, earlier, he's seen Dustin Ping get around him. Here comes Eric Blunt, who simply just stalks him and gets around him. But I feel like, there's just something has been a little off in that 88 machine, because we've seen dominance from that car a season ago. But we'll see how things shape out. And me being a fan of just simply watching the race as well, I hope we get to see the 2 cans battling side by side, rattling going down the road.
Well, you can keep on wishing and wanting that, but right now that's not going to happen, because that Conway K&N Arkham Menards Chevy has broken up that party. He's kind of gapped Osmond a little bit, just about a half a second back to Osmond and about a half a second up to your race leader, Brian Mescal Jr. So Blount, he is the driver on the move right now, showing some muscle late in this run. And these top three drivers, Cody, they have stepped away from the field. Got to go long way back to get to the fourth place driver, Derek Robinson. There you see him. He's got Brian Kaufman, Travis Arthur with a great run right now, running in the sixth spot. Chuck Mobley right there as well. Rick Reinert. All of these drivers, it's just a gaggle of cars after you get from that those top three spots.
Yeah, David, similar to what we saw there for third through sixth earlier. This mess from fourth all the way back to ninth. Now Gordon Larson Jr. is in the mix, and here comes Joshua Cognell. So look at this. You're looking at fourth all the way through 10th is under a blanket as they dive into turns 1 and 2.
And you know, Cody, looking at the timing and scoring charts, this is something that I absolutely love. Never say die, never give up until the engine blows or the checkered flag flies. The 0-2 of Travis Pryor, extreme recovery. He's down 5 spots from where he started today's race, but after the trouble that he has found himself in, 2 big-time incidents very early, as it looks like we've got a few drivers ducking on pit road here. Pryor knocking on the door of a top 10, and I think he's going to have that top 10 spot as he works off of 2, going to pull even with that 0-1 of Gordon Larson Jr., so it's almost a drag race. Jr. going to keep that spot for now, but Pryor, he's there, and he's going to make his way inside that top 10. I can bet you that.
Yeah, Pryor dives to the bottom. He's a short track racer. He's going to try the slide job. Check mark complete over Gordon Larson Jr. He will move up into that 10th spot. Dave, I was looking. We had Dustin Ping, Tyler Hilton on pit road. Here comes Justin Walters. So now with 68 laps in the books, these drivers roughly getting about 30 laps on their tires. They went about 37 the last round before pit stops. So we're anywhere between, 4 or 5 laps of maybe seeing our leader get on pit road. But tire wear, not really a big issue here, Dave. We haven't seen really a big change in the tire wear.
Yeah, and I mean, lap times look pretty comparative. Best lap for your race leader, Brian Mescal Jr., was a 32.90. His last time by was a 34.25, so not quite a 2-second fall off. It's inching closer that way, but 2 seconds worth of fall off. Everybody can make it on fuel if they stop from here, so I don't think even if you try to surprise anybody and come to pit road right here that you're gonna have that big of a gain, and your top 3 all hit pit road this time by Brian Mescal Jr., Eric Blount, Dale Osmond, KD as we like to call them, all on to pit road, so they'll give up the race lead to these drivers. I don't even know which one's gonna be your race leader. Brian Kaufman has it right now. Rick Reinert side by side with Derek Robinson. Chuck Mobley just behind them. Travis Arthur right there now running in the 5th spot. And these drivers are slowly catching up to some of these back markers.
Man, Dave, that battle right now, what is the battle for the lead, is getting crazy down the back straightaway. They were fanning out 4 wide at some point, as it looks like we're going to see drivers dive on pit road. Here comes Rick Reiner. Here comes the number 7 of Kaufman. And man, oh man, they're all over the place coming into pit road.
And Travis Pryor, he got all the way to the apron, all the way down there, made up some big time getting on the pit road. So Pryor doing an excellent job, doing everything he can, everything in his hands to try to recover from those early race incidents. And, man, he is doing a fine job at that. The 38 of Derek Robinson, he's stayed out on track, looking to come to pit road this time by Gordon Larson Jr., going to stay out on track. Joshua Caudill, Jimmy Hetrick, all of those drivers come to pit road. Let's see what the 00 of Roy Hyde does. Looks like Hyde going to stay out on track. So Gordon Larson Jr. will assume the race lead. And I don't even know where this thing's going to shake out at right now. Looks like Brian Mescal Jr. was able to get back out onto the track out in front of his competitors. He's running in the 9th spot. We'll focus in on him right now as Hetrick, Robinson, Caudill, and Massengill all onto pit road. Man, this green flag cycle's kind of drug itself out a little bit, huh?
Yeah, Yeah, it has, Dave. And I'm telling you what, you highlighted Brian Maskell Jr.'s quickest lap was a 32.90. Eric Blunt's quickest lap was a 32.90 as well. So any kind of ground he can gain could be huge as far as how this thing's going to shape out. So if we see another caution flag come out and maybe he gets side by side with Brian Maskell, we'll see exactly what that number 6 car has done. But Dave, he has been strong, I will say that. He's not had the clean air that Brian Maskell Jr. has had, but he has had a very strong race car making some moves. And as we hit lap 73, working lap 73 this time by, not going to be long now before that crunch time's in. And Dave, this is one of those time of the races where, you know, you got what you got.
Yeah, and going through some of the timing and scoring right now, out of those top 3 drivers that hit pit road with each other, Katie Osmond actually the fastest pit stop with a 14.77. Brian Maskell Jr. with a 14.85. Eric Blount actually had the slowest out of the top 3 with a 15.20. But Brian Maskell Jr. on and off pit road at least a second faster than Katie Osmond was. So that's where all this ground was made up. Brian Maskell Jr. doing a great job getting on the pit road, getting loaded up into his box and back up to speed. And he's found himself almost a 3-second race lead here once that 00 of Roy Hyde hits pit road.
And Roy Hyde got way loose off of 2. I don't know if he was trying to pick up some fuel in that car, but man, he went from the outside wall to the inside line like a yard dart. Not sure what that was. Maybe he was trying to keep some fuel in the car, but the 00 is on pit road this time by. And Dave, that's going to put it back into the hands of Brian Maskell Jr. as he works off of turn 4, coming to 25 laps to go, 1/4 left of this Come On Man 100 from Homestead.
And right now, that's exactly what Brian Maskell Jr. is thinking in his head is, come on, man. Let's go. Let's get this thing under. No cautions, no incidents. Let's go. Let's roll. Like what he sees in front of him and behind him. And that's a gap before he hits any back markers and a gap before anybody gets to his rear deck lid. So heck of a job on and off pit road under that green flag pit cycle for that 33 Mountain Dew RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company Arkham Menards K&N Series Chevrolet.
Yeah, most definitely. And as always, we got to thank our sponsors. You mentioned Light Electric Company, 946 Designs, Jekyll Controls, all the great folks behind the scenes, and of course the RFC Next Gen. And all you viewers, thank you so much for watching us here. Race number 7 of the season here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We've only had one repeat winner, and that's our current points leader, Chris Mefford. He's the only 2-time winner of the season, and right now Brian Maskell Jr. is trying to score his first win of the season. It would be his 4th career victory, and right now, Dave, he's got 23 circuits left to possibly bring that home.
Yeah, he's got 23 laps remaining, but now just in his windshield, if we went down with one of the onboard cameras, and I tell you what, I believe we do have a roll bar camera inside of that 33 machine. There you see the car just in front of him. That's his teammate, Roy Hyde, who stayed out very, very long, very late under that green flag pit cycle, and has got Roy Hyde almost down a lap, but he is on much fresher tires. So we'll have to see if Brian Maskell Jr. gets up there and runs down his teammate, or just how hard he does run his teammate. Not sure how being down a lap would affect any points, but you kind of don't want to drop your teammate any further through the field if you don't need to.
Yeah, but Dave, here's the thing. You don't want to do that to your teammate, but if he looks in that rearview mirror, if he wastes any time, he's going to have a rearview mirror not only of Eric Blunt, but the driver he's coming and bringing along with him, Katie Osmond. They're running almost identical times right now. If he bobbles and stubs his toe at any and all with Roy Hyde, he's going to have company, and not only company, but some really good company here in the closing laps.
Yeah, and I mean, you're absolutely right. He's going to find himself with some really tough competition, some really great machines, some great drivers, should he have too much concern about Roy Hyde. But, I mean, the time it's going to take for them to get there, I'm not sure they're going to have the tires left to be able to pull off the big move that I think you're going to have to pull. I don't think it's going to be just a power move. I don't think you're just going to drive around somebody. I just think that it's going to take it's going to take a big move, and I just don't know that 30-something old lap tires are going to be able to give you the confidence you need to pull that big move.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And, you know, here's the thing, is the game, so to speak, is in Brian Maskell Jr.'s court right now. He can push that car, or he can use that gap to his advantage. He can let off the gas. He can coast that car a little. He can judge by the rearview mirror. It's Eric Blunt and Katie Osmond that's got to force their equipment to do everything they can here in the next 19 laps, because the clock is ticking on them here in the Sunshine State.
And as we continue to talk about the big lead and what's at stake here for Brian Maskell Jr., I'm going to focus a little bit further back through the field. We've got a big gaggle of cars here, Cody. It's from about Steve Baker all the way back to Dustin Ping, Travis Arthur, Travis Pryor, Rick Reinert, Troy Radford, Joshua Caudle, all right here with each other, all grouped up on track. And a lot of these drivers battling for a good finishing position, battling now 3 wide for that 10th spot.
Yeah, and if you told Brian Maskell Jr. that was going on behind him right now, he would be yelling at his spotter, tell them knuckleheads to get away from each other. We don't need that, but they're racing for position 2, Dave. They're racing for a top 10, and Troy Radford is racing to try to get his season back under control.
Yeah, and, you know, just like Pryor, early in the season, Radford, he couldn't, and it looks like maybe some contact, and up the track goes Pryor into the wall. We'll stay green flag, but, oh, man, that is tough to watch after driving himself back inside the top 10. Slight contact between himself and the 49, and Pryor goes into the wall, and that's going to slow things up for him. He's going to drop all the way back to the 16th spot. So look for him to make some big moves, because he's going to be a driver driving with a little bit of attitude is what I'll call it.
Yeah, and it looked like Troy Radford was kind of washed up just enough to make contact with that 0-2, and he made the save that got him back down into the racing groove. But right now you take a look at our leader, and right now there's a battle going on for second as Katie Osmond is literally a car length behind Eric Blunt, starting to put the pressure on the runner-up right now with 15 laps to go here at Homestead.
And as you said a moment ago, if Brian Maskell Jr. knew what was going on behind him, he would be on the radio to his spotter telling him to calm down. And if he had been able to see what just took place with Dustin Ping, Troy Radford, and Travis Arthur, he'd be screaming at the top of his lungs. I don't think he would even need a spotter. I think they would hear him from inside that car, because Travis Arthur got a little bit of a bump, went sideways for a second, but all three continue on as they try to come up through the field. Radford now in 8th, looking for 7th, but we'll rejoin the front of the field now as Katie Osmond has taken that 2nd spot away from Eric Blount. So Blount gonna try to take that spot away from him, and I don't think they're gonna have anything for Brian Maskell Jr. unless we get that late race caution.
No, and we're starting to see Brian start to work up onto the tail end of Corey Walters. Walters is the 14 car, but really that is the only lap traffic, Dave, that I think he's going to see the rest of the way. I don't think he's going to catch up to Roy Hyde. I don't think he's going to catch up to the back bumper of Chris Medford. It's only going to be this 14 machine, and as long as he stays and holds his line, Brian Maskell Jr. will get around him, and then that's going to put 1 car between him and 2nd and 3rd. And with now 12 laps to go, this time by, Brian Maskell Jr. hunts for his first win of the season.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe Blount has used up the tires. He's starting to fall to the wayside, about a tenth a lap now over the past 3 laps. So Osmond slowly stepping away from Blount, but not closing in on our race leader, Brian Maskell Jr. And I mean, with 2.5 seconds, with 12 laps to go, that is a very manageable gap. That is a very manageable pace. You kind of can pick and choose when you want to get by the lap machines. As we'll watch your race leader, he goes to the inside now of the 14. So the 14 gonna fall 1 lap down. Corey Walters gonna be put the first car 1 lap down. And now you see long way in front of your race leader, Brian Maskell Jr., until he hits lap traffic once again. So he doesn't really have to push. He doesn't really have to pull the reins in. He can just kind of run comfortable. Know that you're not beating the tires up right now and just bring it on home. When the gap closes in a little bit, maybe get back on the gas.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, Dave. I felt like this entire race, I haven't seen that car out of shape. I haven't seen him really have to force the issue in that car at all. So I don't think he's wearing any of the tires out. You know, it's hard to believe we're in race number 7, and he's only got 1 top 5 this season. He's only cracked the top 10 twice. He already has 1 DNF in the year. He's had a tough start to 2020, but I'm telling you what, with 10 laps to go, all that could change. And Dave, I know we talk a lot about drivers on a hot streak. We did that last season, but if that 33 car gets in a hot streak, we've seen what he can do week in and week out. Now, look earlier in the year, he had 2 really good runs. One of them at Richmond got caught up in a mess, let's just say that. But if he can seal things up, he's one of the drivers that can sort of make some waves here in this series.
Absolutely, and a driver making some waves right now on the speed charts out there on the track. The 49 of Troy Radford, he's cracked that top 5 once again by taking the spot away from Steve Baker. Now into turn number 3. Radford gonna have the spot, gonna slide up in front of that 55. That's gonna bring the 7 of Brian Kaufman along as well. So Radford, after that self-induced or self-caused, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. I can't say it. I can't figure it out. But anyways, you knew what I was going to say. Self-inflicted wound. There you go. That's what I meant. I'd get there eventually. Big recovery, great recovery, and a great finish, barring any big mishaps here late in the race. So big shout out to Troy and his crew, keeping their heads about them, keeping their heads down, staying focused on the task at hand, and working their way back up through the field.
Yeah, and speaking of working back up through the field, we talked about Steve Baker earlier in the race. Him and Dustin Ping, after that 2nd or 3rd caution, just simply got dumped to the tail end of the field. Well, Baker has made his way back up to the 6th spot. I was checking on Dustin Ping just a minute ago. He's only managed back up to 13th. And the caution flag flies. Caution flag is out. Looks like Brian Littleton's going to bring out the caution.
And oh my goodness.
Wow.
Hard impact by Brian Littleton. We'll take a look. Oh, and it looks like maybe Ray Radford contact with the outside wall, comes down the track and into that left rear quarter and into the outside wall. Hard goes the 80 of Brian Littleton. So he had help getting there, but still, when a teammate is part of the caution this late, Brian Maskell Jr. not going to be a happy camper on the radio here.
No, Dave, and I'm gonna do something if I can. I'm gonna rip this paper up that I've got here with my notes. Just throw this away because we've got a whole new ball game right now.
Yeah, it's a whole new ball game for sure. Green-white checkers here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company Arca Menards K&N Series. Not something that we get all the time, but we're right on that edge of it being an official green-white checkered. So my big question to you here, Cody, is do you come to pit road for tires? Everybody's been out there for 30 laps. Do you come down for tires, or do you just try to hold them off?
If you are the top 3 cars, no. You've had the best 3 cars of the race. Nobody has been able to even stay with you. Other than the top 3 cars, yes. I wouldn't be surprised to see 4th place all the way through 23rd come to pit road right here, because we've got roughly 23 cars on the lead lap. But if you're in the top 3, if you're Brian Maskell Jr., you're Katie Osmond, you're Eric Blunt, I think you have to stay on the racetrack here because you've had the strongest cars. I just don't think you can give up that clean air.
I think if you're Brian Maskell Jr., you stay out. if you're a little further back, maybe you come and it looks like nobody's going to listen to Dave. So that's why I don't get paid the big bucks, and I just work for crumbs here. I like pizza crumbs. Pizza crumbs are the best.
Hey, listen, anything pizza and I'm game. Just saying.
Well, we know how the field's going to restart. Nobody coming to pit road here for what should be our first official attempt at a green-white checkered. So with that all being said, we're going to step away, get ready for the end of this race, or what could be the final restart of the race. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Back trackside here at Miami Homestead Speedway for our official green-white checkered attempt in the Come On Man 100 here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company Arc Menards K&N Series, live on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Can Brian Mescal Jr. keep this hungry field at bay? We'll have to wait to find out. Pace car lights are off. We're set to go green flag racing this time by.
Stacking them up 2 by 2 by 2. Looks like we more than likely will have another first-time winner if everything shapes out. Pace car ducks onto pit road. Brian Mescal Jr., Katie Osmond, Brian Kaufman, Eric Blunt. We're green flag. Brian Mescal Jr. takes a great restart. He jumps out just about a curling. Oh, he pushes up the KD. Gonna try to cut him off, Dave.
Just barely clearing that nose of the 88, put Brian Mescal Jr. to the front of the field. Osmond looking for the crossover down the backstretch. Not gonna be there just yet. Hugging that inside, trying to keep that spot. Trying to keep Osmond at bay. Brian Mescal Jr. looks to run through the center, and caution flies once again here at Miami Homestead Speedway. We'll take a look, see what happened here.
Yeah, it looked like Joshua Cogdell just got loose off of turn 2, and Damon Cox had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and it looks like Dustin Ping also involved, Corey Walters, Justin Walters, all involved in this one. Oh, there you see the 54 of Caudle. He's just sideways trying to catch it. We'll take another look at this. Sideways trying to catch it. Damon Cox with some contact, more cars involved, and there you see almost a parking lot down the back stretch. Tough break for a lot of these drivers very late here in the Come On Man 100 here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. And yeah, we're going to restack them, re-rack them, and no, we're not, because I believe that is the one attempt at a green-white checkered finish. If I'm not mistaken, Cody, I believe that is our one and only attempt at a green-white checkered finish. So that is indeed gonna end the race here today. So Brian Mescal Jr. able to hold off Katie Osmond and Eric Blount. Those two drivers will round out your podium position. So, heck of a restart. And just barely sliding in front of Osmond, cutting his nose off like that. That was the winning move.
Yeah, Dave, it was. And I felt like if he didn't get him clear before turn one, momentum was going to give KD the outside line. And I felt like the outside line would have pulled him to victory. But it was Brian Mescal Jr., great restart, took advantage of it, slipped in front of him, and man, oh man, look for a celebration now as that 33 Mountain Dew Chevrolet's back in victory lane for the fourth time in his career.
Yes, indeed. And Miss Linda, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Seriously, I was ready to crank them up one more time, at least get one more shot at a race condition finish. But, you know, I don't make the rules. Kind of have to do what I'm told up here in the booth, but is what it is. Great race out there for Brian Mescal Jr. walking away with the race win. So, we're going to step away for just a brief moment, get things, get things set up for your post-race interviews. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back. backtrack side for your post-race interviews here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Looks like we're going to have a chance to talk with a driver walking away with a great finish out there today, walking away with a third-place finish. Driver of that 6 machine, Eric Blount. How you doing? It's Dave and Cody in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I'll be copy.
Well, hey, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm ecstatic.
Great run, man. You look like you had a fast piece underneath you. How was the car out there? How was the race for you all night long?
Yeah, the guys put a great car under me. I mean, it was really good, competitive. Finally, as far as the top 5 go, and top 3 is even better. So, I mean, it was a really good piece tonight.
Well, man, at one point you were closing in on the race leader there. Did the tires just kind of go away on that last stint?
No, that 33 was just that fast on a long run. I mean, we were pretty good on a long run, but he had us bested by a bit. I mean, we could close in toward the middle part of the run, but toward the later laps of the run, he was just that much better.
Well, Eric, man, we do appreciate you taking some time out of the night, stopping to talk to us here after a great race here at a great track, Miami Homestead Speedway. So want to give you congratulations, thumbs up, all of that good stuff. Great race for you out there today. Before we let you go, would you like to give any shout-outs, thank yous, love yous, thank anybody on the side of that car?
Oh, yeah, I want to thank Valvoline, and we've got thank the guys in the pits, the team we're running for, and want to thank you guys up in the booth for the great job you guys do broadcasting and doing this thing week in and week out. We appreciate everything you do, guys. Thank you.
All right, well, there you have it. Some few final words from the driver walking away in the third position out here today. That was the 6 of Eric Blount, and I believe, Cody, you've had a chance to catch up with the driver walking away in second today.
Yeah, Dave, I have. I've got Katie Osmond with me for the 15th time in his career. He's a top 5 finisher here in the RFC NEXTGEN Light Electric Company ARCA Menard Series. And Katie, man, at this point in the season, it's one of those kind of situations where I felt like there's been 3 races so far this season. We were going to see you in victory lane. I felt kind of that way tonight until we got to about halfway, but I feel like this 88 machine is closing in on a victory, and it just seems better each week.
Oh yeah, it's definitely coming. I'm really happy with the way I ran tonight. Homestead is not my greatest track. I hate it, because I don't run well here usually. But yeah, I mean, second place here is honestly really good for me, so I'm happy to walk away with this one.
Well, man, early in the race, we saw you get out front, and then we saw Dustin Ping kind of rally and take the lead away from you early. And then you got kind of a pit stop, got things kind of shook up a little bit, and you drove back to the front. And I felt like in open air and clean air, I felt like he had a really good car. And then Brian, once he took the lead, I mean, he just kind of set sail. Kind of tell us about, as through the race progressed, maybe some different things you tried to do to just try to make up some ground.
The biggest thing I did was just try and save tires at the beginning of runs. If you didn't do that, you're just going to be dead in the water pretty much once you got to a long run. But, I tried to move around the track a little bit, but the bottom was where I really wanted to be. So, yeah, Brian was able to run the bottom just better than me on the long run.
You mentioned tires. Me and Dave talked about this in the broadcast. I feel like something is different in these cars over, say, for instance, the last 10 races in this series combined. We're seeing a lot of drivers just simply lose the rear end of these race cars. You've been behind the wheel now all last season, of course, this season so far. What's the big difference in these race cars, say, for instance, than towards the end of last year?
Probably just the setups they're putting into the cars, and whenever they update the tire model, like it's just a little bit better each time. So, on the early runs, you really got to manage the tires if you want them to last.
Well, man, congratulations on a second place finish. I feel like you're closing in on the first victory of this season. I know you got some people on the race car. Tell us about them.
Yep, big one, my sponsor, Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company. My teammates, Brian and Snare, had a really good finish, 5th place there. Dustin and Mike weren't so lucky, but we'll rally and get them next week. Thank you to my family for watching, and thank you guys for broadcasting. You do an awesome job.
KD, we appreciate you, man. Congratulations on the 2nd place finish. And Dave, I think he's going to bring a Sundrop can to Victory Lane to set it beside that Mountain Dew can.
I wouldn't blame him if he did. And just want to, before we let you go, Katie, the fans, friends, and family out there on the YouTube side of things say put on a shirt inside that car, man. That fire suit is we got to do something about that.
I gotta stay comfortable.
I hear you. Well, we'll look to catch up with you next week. Well, Cody, there you have it. That was Katie Osmond signing off. And now let's see if we can't catch a word or two with the unofficial race winner, the driver of the Mountain Dew 33 machine, Brian Mescal Jr. Looks like they got the car pushed off over there to the side. Looks like they may be looking for missing lug nuts. What's your thoughts right now? You think the car's going to pass inspection?
Oh yeah, she's good.
Well, you're surely hoping it's good. Heck of a race out there. You found yourself getting the race lead under kind of abnormal, I would say, circumstances there. Green flag pit cycles going through. You caught it at the right time. You took the race lead, never looked back. Did you know the car had what it took once you got up there in that clean air?
I knew I was pretty good. I was pretty loose there for a couple of laps, but I knew I could figure it out if I got 3 laps on the tires. I felt like I was going to be pretty good. And yeah, I caught a super lucky break air and never looked back.
Well, man, you get to do something that a handful of drivers have been able to do this season, and that's put yourself in the win column. The beginning of the season kind of had some good runs, and something would happen to you. Then you found yourself in the podium position, I believe, a race or two ago. Is the race team moving the right direction? We're seeing the improvements at the end of the race. Now you're capping it off the race weekend with a win. Is the team moving the way that they need to be, or was this just well, not necessarily dumb luck, or you get what I mean?
No, we're definitely moving in the right direction. Littleton got caught up early there, made a little bit of a mistake, and I'm not real sure what happened to Pryor, but we're definitely moving in the right direction. We got a ton of talent on this team, ton of talent. Lance is off to Florida, so he wasn't able to race this weekend, or I think he would have been up there in the mix as well. But there's a ton of talent on this team, and we lost a little bit last week, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here.
All right, my man. Well, once again, congratulations on a great race, walking away with the victory, visiting Victory Lane once again, and also getting the privilege to come speak with me and Cody after the race. I know that's what all of you drivers look forward to. So we won't keep you much longer. Before we let you go and celebrate the rest of the night away, would you like to give any shout-outs, thank yous, love you, thank anybody on the side of that car?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's been a while since I've been kind of competitive in this series, and I commend Troy for what he does in this series, but KD and Troy and a few others I won't name, but just the series has become super competitive to, what it was 2 years ago, and a huge thanks to Troy and those guys. And for me to go out here and actually beat KD, to me is huge. And I just want to give that respect to KD and Troy and a few other guys that have made this series so competitive. It's a big deal to win in this series nowadays. So big props to those guys, and of course Jags. I talked to her a little bit last night. I hope she watches. She's not doing so well right now. She's having some surgery done, so prayers out to her, and hope she does everything well. Hope she's able to watch, and of course you guys, and of course my wife for letting me come down here and burn up 3 hours on Sunday nights. Have fun, boys.
All right, well, there you go. Some few final parting words from your race winner, the 33 of Brian Maskell Jr. So, heck of a job done by him out there tonight. Cody, another great one in the books for us here. Not much left to do, except run through some official standings here in just a brief moment. But all in all, from my standpoint, just another great RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company ARCA Menards K&N Series race here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Look forward to these drivers when they head to Rockingham next Sunday night. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Just another great night.
Yeah, Dave, you said it multiple times. We had battles all the way around this Homestead Miami Speedway tonight. The top three, that was a battle. At times, 4th through 10th were so close. We couldn't tell who was in what position. By timing and scoring, it was moving around so much. We raced Chicagoland last week, Homestead Miami this week, and man, oh man, next week, I've had this highlighted on the schedule since we got this thing started. We're going to go to one of my all-time favorite racetracks, Rockingham. The track's going to be a lot smaller, and if these drivers are anywhere near as close as they were this week, next week could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yes, it can. It's gonna be an amazing time when these drivers hit the track at Rockingham. So with all that being said, looks like we've only got a few more things to do. So let's go ahead and get those knocked out, done, out of the way. Your finishing order looks a little something like this. Walking away with the race win after all the lug nuts were found to be fastened to his 33 Mountain Dew ARCA Menards K&N Series Chevrolet. Brian Maskell Jr. gonna put his name in the win column. The 88 of Katie Osmond, not able to be the bride, still the bridesmaid so far this season, but another great racing, great finish out of that 88 Sun Drop machine. Eric Blount, the Conway RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company ARCA Menards car. Great finish for him, walking away in the 3rd spot. Brian Kaufman jumping back on the scene, gonna walk away in 4th. 5th will be the 45 of Brian Snare. Tyler Hilton gonna finish in 6th, and Steve Baker gonna bring the 55 home in 7th. The 38 of Derek Robinson gonna be finishing in the 8th spot. Troy Radford gonna rally back to a top 10 finish. He's going to finish in 9th place. Jimmy Hetrick will round out that top 10.
Just outside of the top 10, Gordon Larson Jr. in his 01 machine. He finished 11th. Rick Reiner, after maybe the save of the year earlier in the race tonight, he rounds out 12th and 19. Travis Arthur, good run for that 86 machine. He finished 13th. A guy that had the highest of highs and lowest of lows and probably the most beat-up race car in the garage tonight, still on 4 wheels. Travis Pryor in the 02 comes home 14th. Rounding out the top 15, it was Damon Cox in his 57 car. Thomas Quattlebaum Jr. in the 93 was 16th. Thomas Light in the 98 machine was 17th. Roy Hyde, after leading a couple of laps earlier in the race, rounded out 18th spot in his 00. Corey Walters in the 14 was 19th. And rounding out the top 20, not where he wanted to be and definitely not where we thought he would end up, Dustin King closes out the top 20.
Yeah, then we'll see the 46 of Justin Walters walk away in 21st, 22nd. We'll go to the 94 of Joshua Caudle. Chuck Mobley gonna finish in 23rd. Brandon Medford, tonight's Come On Man race sponsor, gonna walk away in the 24th position. 25th will go to the 47 of Ray Radford. Chris Medford, your points leader. Tough break for him, tough night for him. Gonna finish 1 lap down in his 84 machine in the 26th spot. Melvin Young gonna bring the 10 machine home in 27th. 28th will go to Robert Candom, and Michael Massengill gonna finish in 29th. 30th will be the 80 of Brian Littleton. Doug Wasaki gonna come home in 31st, and Kendall Levron will round out the field in tonight's unofficial race results. With all that being said, want to give a shout out to all the fans, friends, family stopping by here on the YouTube side of things with us each and every Sunday night for the RFC Next Gen Light Electric Company Arkham Menards K&N Series. For myself, Darkside Dave, and Cody here in the booth with me, want to send shout outs, thoughts, and prayers to Jags. Hope you get well, hope everything goes well, and for everybody else out there, well, stay safe, stay loved. Till next time, we'll see you then.